Live from Pahrump, Nevada, the Valley of the Dirt People, it's Tech Talk Taco Tuesday with your host, Jimmy Lewis.
Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. This should be episode number 230, according to the records that I don't keep very accurately. This is the show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle-related products. Hopefully our sound levels are good. You can always let me know in the chat how things are going there. A few people are looking forward to some stuff. I can see that in the chat. And now I'm trying to make my cursor work to see how we got it here. There we go. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Tonight we have a special guest. It's amazing. I've worked really hard. Oh, good. The screen behind me is working. All the things are sort of working. I forgot how to push all the buttons, but cheers, everybody. Show 230. I have a problem. I'm holding up my problem in front of my face here. Bud at Bulletproof Designs. If you know much about this show, you know I have a little bit of a thing with the front disc protector. It's gotten out of hand, and they made me a special edition. We'll get to that later. So welcome to the show. Let me click around here and make sure this works. There we go. Bringing Bud into the show. Bud from Bulletproof, how you doing?
Hi, good, Jimmy. Good, real good. Glad to be on.
Yep. So I don't even know how this started. with the front disc protector. I think maybe mistakenly on the show I mentioned that we put one on a bike at one point or another. Don't know if it was yours or another company's, but I put a front disc rotor protector, and I swear I felt it affect the handling of the motorcycle. And I'm picky about stuff like this. They're not that heavy in reality. But yeah, I swore I felt it. And then I said it out loud, and then I continued to say it out loud. And it got to the point where it turned into, like, maybe we'll say a bad joke. So right. We are talking about, one of your best selling products, which is the front disc protector, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, the front and rear rotor are some of our best, and maybe the top three for sure.
Right, and so you've been a longtime supporter of this show and a lot of the stuff we do at Dirt Bike Test, and so you've got somebody who's on a podcast that's bad mouthing one of your best products.
Right. So apparently, yeah, you can magically feel the weight difference, the 6 or 7 ounces on the front end. So yeah, it's just it's fun to make fun of somebody like you. So we made you a super light Jimmy Lewis special. I think that's maybe maple. That's
maple.
So you're probably not gonna feel that one. And I'd love to see how it's gonna work out for you too. So.
Well, yeah. So you did send a picture of it mounted up on the bike. I can see the hatch marks on it where it was mounted up. But what's really cool about this thing, and I'll go ahead and hold it up to the camera here as well. I got to figure out which camera is going here. I can show you up here. So again, nice maple. It's got it looks like laser engraved graphics on it. Of course, it says, and here's I got a pick with you. It says 3 ounces. It says it's 3 ounces. I put it on my certified scale. I got 4 ounces out of it.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that I'm sure that it maybe picked up some moisture in transit. Wood does tend to get moisture, so I'll give you that. It might have weighed 3 ounces, but we are in the desert, so I'm hoping that it dries back out.
Right. Well, us in the aftermarket, we round down. So yeah.
Round down, right.
Yeah.
Round down. My certified scale said 4 ounces. It's breakable, which that's normal for me. Most things are breakable. It says also can be used as firewood. So if I'm not happy with it, I guess I could always burn it. I hope it doesn't burn on my bike.
It's a survival tool.
Survival tool. It says Jimmy Lewis Superlight has the Bulletproof Designs logo. You put the DBT logo on it. It says it floats right here. It's saying it floats. So I haven't tested that yet. I do like to test these kind of things, and very, very coy. This logo that you put down on the bottom looks very much like the logo
right
on the can that I'm drinking out of right now. So, man, this is pretty cool. This is like when people do stupid stuff like this for me. I really do appreciate it. I it's kind of fun. It makes it it makes what we do all fun. So thanks for kicking me in the nuts with
right. Yeah. No, I told my guys, I was like, hey, we got to do a special Jimmy Lewis front disc guard. And they's like, hey, what if we just throw a piece of wood in the machine and see what happens? And they did, and it just worked. So it was actually really simple. It didn't even take that long. The same program seemed to just cut. So it was pretty cool.
No, that was like I said, when I saw the picture, I just laughed. I'm like, this is pretty cool. But just back to the whole disc guard thing in general. And we've talked about this before because you gave me crap when I when I say. So I've put them on. I've had them on a few different bikes, and I actually found one that I had up in my rafters, and I went and looked at it to the front disc guard to see if it had some scratches and stuff on it, because my rear ones are hammered. They look like somebody took a grinding wheel, a sledgehammer, a shotgun, and just hit them. But my front ones, I don't. I'm trying to think of how many times I've bent disc rotors riding, and I mean all the hours. It's probably like once or twice I've actually had them bend physically from riding, and then I can't even be sure that I did it while it was riding. I think it was kind of done during transport. I loaded it in the truck and ran it up against the side of the gas can or whatever. Right. I know I've bent one when I was pulling the bike down a loading ramp, which was wrong of me to even be using a loading ramp for unloading, but I was unloading the motorcycle. The bike got crooked sideways, and when it fell off, it went right to the disc rotor. So it didn't hit the fork lug, it hit the disc rotor. And I remember the way that it caught the ramp. It caught it like between a couple runs, and it literally caught it and tweaked it like that, which that would have helped. It would have helped in that instance, the disc protector. But I don't know anytime when I've run into that before. But so if I mount this on my bike, I will see whether I use it or not.
Yeah, no, that's the challenge. Mount it up, go ride some hard enduro stuff, and if it comes back in one piece, then maybe you don't need one.
Then I'm glancing, trying to avoid hitting things with the front end. But anyways, so let's get a little bit of history about. So Bulletproof Designs been a sponsor of the show for a long time. You guys make a lot of protective items and mostly basically billet stuff.
Right. So yeah, since 2005, we've been doing this, and it's all it's all USA made billet products, and it just generated from wanting to make something better than a stamped and bent guard for a radiator guard. It all started with the radiator guard. And then it's one of the side jobs that evolved into accidentally making money and going full time.
So accidentally making money.
Yeah. So
it it was a hobby that turned into a job, essentially.
Yeah, my partner at the time, Nate, I think you know Nate. We both grew up in Southern California, and we both ended up in Missouri, and so we started going. We went back. We were going back racing a lot of D37, Baja, a lot of Best in the Desert, and it's like, hey, we got to figure out a way to pay for this because we're going broke doing this. And I was already making these parts, and so it's like, hey, we'll buy a machine. We'll start doing this on the side to help, support our hobby. And one thing led to another. And like I said, it started kind of making money, and quit our jobs, and, got into the moto business, which I don't really recommend people do, because moto guys don't pay that much money for stuff. So, if I was making airplane parts, I would have been retired a long time ago. But, well, I love motos. So I'm in the moto business.
Right. And so what were you making before? It was, so you were like a CNC shop, or?
Yeah, no, I was in the mold business. So yeah, injection mold stuff, but I hated that, and I love motorcycles. So, I just evolved into something that made me happy and poor. like a lot of us that are in the moto business.
It sounds somewhat familiar. I was lucky I had a semi-successful spurt at motorcycle racing that allowed me to kind of get out of the I would say the drugs, the dredges of because as a journal, I tell you what, journalists don't make any money, and I was eking it out. Basically, I made most of my money photo modeling. Sort of got a lot of free bikes to ride from racing, but I figured out like that the racing and the journalism kind of combined would allow me to get a lot more of both of those things, even though I wasn't getting any money. So, hey, we got some questions coming up in the chat right now. So, Tony asks, any plans to make Stark Varg protective items? Motor case seems delicate. Have you gotten a chance to ride the Stark Varg yet? And I have one on order, and I'm wondering how the range will hold up to the desert enduro conditions.
Okay, so I owned a Stark Varg until about a month ago, and I loved the bike. It's just super fun. I didn't like the range, but I mostly bought it to make parts for, because it's got a horrible chain guide. And so we fixed the chain guide. We basically made a mount that goes onto the Stark swing arm, and our Bulletproof mount accepts a KTM chain guide. Any of the TM or BRP chain guides or stock will fit on it, and it fixed the problem. And that's really the only part that we make for Stark, and that's the kind of part that I love to make, because it fixes a problem.
Well, it's funny because Chad even helped us out in the chat here. So Chad replied to him. He actually put your website up, and there's a page for Stark Varg. And when I was clicking through there today, I just kind of went over to check some stuff out. It looks like there's a whole bunch of parts. You make the chain guide thing was a specific thing, and then there was like Sherco wheels or KTM wheels and Sherco axle lug protectors, and that were listed on that Stark page. So maybe they interchange.
Yeah, so it's got KYBs. So the forks, I believe the Sherco stuff fits. It's either Sherco or Yamaha. I want to say Sherco fits the fork, the lug, and the front disc guard. It comes with aluminum or wood. And KTM wheels fit on the Stark, and the KTM rear rotor fits on the Stark.
Not to throw a plug in here for no particular reason, but I would think that maybe these kind of disc rotors would go over with those Stark type owners made out of renewable things. You could actually, Yeah, I think I think we could be onto something here. We could have a Jimmy Lewis signature Stark Varg front disc rotor that's fully renewable, green.
Right. Yeah. You can burn it and make power to recharge your bike.
I still have not ridden the Stark. I've seen them. They've been, the guys have had them out in the track. My last conversation with Stark involved them telling me how they would like me to test the motorcycle. And I said, that's not the way that I do things. I would like to test it like I would feel as if I were a regular person, not be told how to test something. So we still haven't come to terms. I would love to ride one.
Yeah, it's a great motorcycle. It's got, the fun factor is through the roof. I think it makes a great motorbike for sure. Trail bike. It can definitely work. I ran out of juice like one time and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work for me. But I mostly bought it to make parts for it, and it's definitely got a market.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And then it's funny because people think like, oh, you're anti-electric and anti this. Especially if you're from a certain clan or tribe or whatever. You hate KTM's this week. You hate Yamahas that week. You're only a Honda guy. I've got it all. And now I like it. I like riding dirt bikes. I don't really care what it is. So don't give me the you're not an electric guy. I rode an Alta. I gave an Alta a pretty damn good review back in the day. And I rode some, what was the name of the other company? The one that they're still around. So hard. I'm so bad with names. They make mostly kind of dual sport or urban bikes.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. They make the street bikes.
It's kind of like a lot of street bikes and stuff. Some of those in the early days were horrible. And when I kind of explained why their performance was not on par, and it's mostly the throttle control. The throttle control didn't match what you're used to with the motorcycle, because an electric motor makes a lot of torque off the bottom. So the review wasn't very positive. And then they the people that were there just completely beat up on, they're like, oh, you're never going to get another bike, and we're not going to advertise with you, and we're not going to support you. I'm like, I don't care. I wasn't doing the review. I was trying to explain to people. I've ridden one since then. They've gotten so much better. And so, it's that's the way this kind of stuff works, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The Stark is, the 80 horsepower. I mean, if you've never ridden an 80 horsepower motorcycle, you need to do it. It's just the fun factors through the roof as far as straight line. I can't believe I don't see more videos of people with paddle tires in Glamis, riding these things, because they're just insane for straight line hill climbs.
Yeah. How long? Oh, the company's name was Zero. Thank you, Tony.
Zero.
Yep. Yeah, Zero. That was right. Zero Motorcycles. I gave it a 0 in my review. I don't even remember when I did. That may have been at Dirt Rider, actually, come to think of it. It may have been that long ago. And stuff's come along. But how, two things. If you had it in 80 horsepower mode and you were riding in sand dunes, how long do you feel like it would last? Because I would say not very long, just guessing, knowing what a gas bike does. I know the difference between what my WR450 does in the dunes versus on regular riding. And then how much were you getting on when would you call regular ride?
So I would think in max horsepower in the dunes, that bike would last an hour, just because that's just how, you're just wide open all the time. Maybe an hour. And that's a total guess. Off road, I would get trail riding. I would get 30 miles. But the problem is my friends wanted to go 50 or 60, and I was going back to the truck and finding power, or unloading
really?
or unloading the 300.
Yeah. So I remember talking to Jeff Fredette, who rode one. He was able to do. First of all, he was the first person that like kind of really rode it off road, and then kind of gave a pretty thorough impression of it. And he was able to do, I think, I don't know whether it's an hour or 2 hours, but I think it might have been like an hour and a half of hare scrambles riding and stuff. And he's one of the smartest riders I've ever been around, because, you know, he used to ride low horsepower motorcycles. He was always on the KDX 200 and stuff like that. So
yeah,
he was pretty adamant about like, hey, I didn't need as much power as this thing was able to make and all these other stuff. So he was able to get pretty decent range. I don't think it was quite what he really needed to do exactly what he wanted to do, but he was able to make it work for what, you know, what he was doing. And then but yeah, an hour at the sand dunes would be, it'd be interesting. I'd like to actually try that, because, and this is the kind of stuff I would do if I had one. I don't know if I put a paddle tire on it, because I don't really like paddle tires in the dunes, largely because I like turning and carving in the sand dunes, and a paddle tire is horrible for that. Especially when you're like, what's really fun is to turn like you're on the moon, and you go up a big dune and you turn down, and that's where the paddle tire like doesn't have any edge, and then you eat shit, you high side.
Right. Well, I mean, if any bike doesn't need one, it's the Star. Like I said, it's like 80 horsepower. I mean, and I believe it makes every bit of it. It's that's just insane. I mean, I only ever rode it, like realistically, I'd ride it at 30 or 40. And it was still way more than I was used to.
Right. And so when you adjust it, you can adjust the level you kind of set a horsepower level.
You could set the horsepower level and the regen, which is basically engine braking.
Yep.
And so it needed more adjustability. Like I always explain to people, like my 890 has all the modes, like off-road mode, and it makes the throttle tamer. And the Stark didn't really do that. It just, the throttle was still as abrupt. It was just less horsepower. So I would like to have all 80, but have to like twist it all the way to get there.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, these are the kind of things that I'm sure they're working on. I hope that company can sustain and survive. I mean, it's getting tough. This last 6 months, you're starting to hear like there's grumblings going on. I'm not 100% sure of. I've actually been trying to get some information from different manufacturers to find out how really good or bad it is. Nobody's talking. They're
right. No, it's just internet rumors right now, which I try not to listen to, because that's I would pull the rest of my hair out. Which
you and I both have the same amount of hair to pull.
Right.
I think that like I said, I've asked this question to certain people, and the reason I ask it, it's not that I care that much, but like people are asking me, they're like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I've been around for a while. I've kind of seen this happen multiple times. There's all this crazy stuff going on. Like, there's an election. There's this election thing happening that's going on. Yeah. And then there's a certain thing with the economy that's always sort of there, but the election's making it worse. And then there was this COVID thing that happened, and there was this lack of production, overproduction / market saturation / I'm not an economist. I just have a stupid podcast show meeting thing whenever we do these things.
No, I think it's all of that. And, COVID was obviously great, almost too good for the power sports industry. And, now it's, I don't know, it's a rebound from that. And, like it or not, the motorcycle, off-road motorcycle industry revolves around what KTM does. And if KTM's not healthy, then the industry's not going to be healthy. And now I don't know that anybody knows.
That's the big thing. It was funny because I know some people that are into the stock market and stuff, and they're like, hey, look at this KTM stock. And frankly, it's tanking. It's tanked, actually. I didn't look at it today or yesterday, but a couple of days ago when we were sitting around at the restaurant, we all pulled up our phones and we were looking at the Yahoo finances and I go, huh, interesting. That's pretty. But then you just do a little bit of research. And since it's a trade on the European stock market, it's a little different than the information we get here. But we started looking at it. It's like, they're hugely in debt when you look at it as a company. But they make a lot of money, and and if you look at it outside of the stock market, they're very, very strong. I mean, it's not like they're just going to disappear and go any place. And then you start doing a little bit more research. It's like, well, 75% of the stock is insider held. That's what they call it. And it's like, I'm pretty sure that the Pure Mobility Group kind of owns a lot of the companies that are suppliers. And you start thinking about, where's your debt from? It might be loans to banks, but it also might be outstanding debt to suppliers, and they've bought a lot of stuff. You can do the math however you want, and unless you're probably one of those insiders, you probably don't really know what's going on.
Right. No, I agree, and I'm not even going to try to guess. We'll just get through the election and ride the storm out. I mean, we're positioned well to do it. We've been through down times before, so it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't, and people are like, well, that means, and then there's all, like said, the internet rumors, the stuff that people talk about. Oh, they're making all their parts in China, or they're making it in India now, and they're doing all these different things. It's like, they're not doing anything different really than what a lot of these other manufacturers are doing, as far as where they're having part source, diversifying some of their stuff, placing themselves in markets for certain reasons. I always tell people, look, you're just a dumb motorcycle rider like me. Enjoy the bike you got, and clean your air filter, change your oil, and don't worry about where you think the parts were made, right?
Right. No, it's like, you just, sometimes you have to just stay off the internet. And yeah, like you said, just ride. And that's why I do this. I mean, I'm as passionate about riding. I always have been. So I'll ride anything, anywhere, love rental bikes and wherever. Just put me on it and I'm happy.
Right on. So, of course, Tech Talk Taco Tuesday is brought to you by a host of sponsors that we've never settled up with because we forgot to do that. Got a good ad guy here. You're looking at him, and he's not very good. But anyways, thanks to Yamaha, of course, Taco Moto, who is sponsoring the Rooster Endo segment tonight. Scott Sports, of course, Climb, DDC, Chain Wheels, Trail Tech, Fast Company, Bulletproof Designs. Thank you, and I like in the Bulletproof Designs hoodie. We're matching.
We got
that
matchy.
came with my disposable disc rotor, and then of course Double Take Mirrors, who Ned swung by the other day. If you have not seen the new Double Take mirror, and you need to get a mirror on your dual sport or adventure bike, their new design is so far superior to their old design. I can't tell you how you could take something that's so simple and so good and make it that much better with just a little bit of tweaking of the designs. And they did that. I've been running those mirrors on my bikes for a long time. And so those are our sponsors. I'm going to try to start throwing a whole lot of Yamaha plugs in here. So I noticed you do have a Blue Crew, or is that a Sherco up in the? That's a Yamaha in the back behind you.
That's a 25 Sherco 300.
Looks just like a Yamaha. They're obviously trying to copy the Yamahas by making them blue.
You're right. Yep.
Go ahead.
The Triumph back there, it's got some Yamaha in it too. A lot of KTM, but it's got a little bit of Yamaha in it, I think.
Is the Triumph the one with orange radiator shrouds on it?
Yeah,
the radiator guards.
that's a printed 3D printed radiator guard. So that's gonna be hitting pretty quick. Yeah.
So we have a Triumph. We just I saw the final test of it today up on Dirt Bike Test. It's not published yet, but I kind of went through and did a little edit on it, take a look at it. So we've been riding one of those. I think we got 20 or 30 hours on the bike. I rode it for basically the first day and handed it over to my minions, and they've been kind of beating on it. For a first year bike, really impressed.
I agree. I haven't ridden it. I actually own this one, and haven't ridden it. I'm trying not to, just to make it worth more when I'm finally done with it. But yeah, no, it is impressive. And I kind of pushed back on actually making product for it. So I'm behind the curve, but then, they brought Johnny Walker on, and the phone just blew up. So, I had to buy one and get going on it.
Wow, that's that's pretty. I mean, you think about it, that's a big move for Johnny Walker to go to that. He's been doing really good on it, and that doesn't surprise me, other than the fact that he's competing on a 250 against 350s.
Right. And I think. Yeah, I talked to him in Colorado at Endurocross, and he acted like the bike worked better in Europe than it works here, because maybe the Super Enduro is a little bit more spread out, a little faster. But yeah, he's been kicking butt on it, and on basically an underpowered motorcycle. So it's all good.
Yeah, I like. I remember when I first started doing the endurocross stuff. I was riding, and we were trying to figure out what the right bike was for it. This is that's a long time ago, but to me, it was always like 200 two-stroke was sort of the it seemed like the ideal thing. And then everybody kind of, it was 300 two-stroke, and then a lot of guys were going between 250s and 300s and switching around, and to 250 four-stroke. Man, that's crazy, because you just don't have that torque and that little extra torque to kind of lift you out of a turn. I mean, you'd love the lightweight, and I suspect when he's over here, he's probably riding a pretty stock bike.
Yeah, I think the motor on the bike, since he just got it, it's from what I hear, it's bone stock. So I think that's more probably a testament to his abilities. Because I think everybody else is riding a pretty hopped up 350, so or a 300 two-stroke. But yeah, the bike seems to really handle well.
Right on. So back to Bulletproof. What are the things you're selling the most? What are the hot products?
So we've always been known for a radiator guard. And that's still our number one product. But yeah, the core products, a radiator guard, rotor guards. We build a throttle housing, just everything, levers, just everything billet machined. We've got big into the hard enduro just this year and last year. So we're building some hard enduro specific parts. We're building a clutch cover, and a heavy duty brake rotor, stuff like that. That it's surprising, like how abusive those guys are on things. And because I was always like, guys were saying, hey, we need a clutch cover. And I was like, yeah, no, people are already doing that. Henson's got one, and Recluse got a nice unit. It's like, I don't think there's a market for that. And then I go to the races, and after after a Saturday event, people would drop 10 of them off at my truck. And there's like, see, the brake pedal goes right through it. So I made one, and ours is like, it's, 3 times
extra thicker. Is it extra thick? Yeah.
It's so thick. It's so overkill. We got a great video on our YouTube channel of, the stock one. We just kind of tap it with a hammer and it blows up. And then ours, we're just hammering with a sledgehammer and you can't break it. So, and it's overkill, but the hard enduro guys, it's so stupid what those guys do.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The last time I was the race director for one of King of the Motos, so one of the ones that we started over here, and back then, we were having a struggle. At the time we were kind of struggling to get a whole lot of entries because nobody wanted to thrash their bike. And I'm like, look at my bike. It has some scratches in it, but it's not destroyed. And then after the race, I'd see these bikes that looked pretty decent when they started, and they started looking like shrapnel. And I'm going, what are you guys doing? And so the last time I went out and helped Justin Leineweber with the little riding school thing that he did before, just to kind of, it was mostly to teach people about the GPS and to, kind of give them an introduction to it. The people that showed up, their bikes looked like, again, kind of like my disc guard on the rear wheel, where they were just, everything was scratched, carved, dug out. And I mean, the plastic was like all zip tied together. And I'm like, wow, this is a whole new level of guys that they're using that bike like a tool. They're using it like a hammer more than a precision instrument. And so I kind of get that.
Yeah, so it's been great for us. It's, we're the title sponsor of the US Hard Enduro series, and it's just our market. I mean, if anybody needs our product, it's those guys. So I've been enjoying it. I've raced a couple of them. I don't think I'll race any more of them. It's brutal stuff.
So I remember, well, Nate came out and helped me, I think, as a course crew, checkpoint crew at a couple of my early King of the Motos, correct?
Right. Yeah. No, Nate and I both were out there, worked some checks for you. And so that was one of the original, and still is like the, original US hard enduro. And one of the best events they have.
Yeah, so you were out there too. Wow, that's how good. See, my memory with people.
No, I was always the behind the scenes design guy, and Nate was the front guy. And then he got into airplanes and out of motorcycles, and we parted ways. But it's all good. Yeah, we had a great run.
Because I put you at a check. If I remember correctly, I put you at a check called Sundial. Does that make sense? Were you at like a? It's actually, I think, because it's funny. I don't remember people. Like, I couldn't pick Nate out of a crowd. I couldn't pick most of the people that I know almost out of a if you did a police lineup with me, I'm the worst guy in the world. But I kind of remember, I knew that you were the guys from Bulletproof, and I put you because you could ride. I knew you could ride, so I put you at a checkpoint that was kind of on top of a hill.
Yeah,
kind of a rocky. You were at a rocky hill, like in a little saddle, but where they dropped into some canyon. And the check was called Sundial because somebody had gone up there and moved all the rock. They smoothed all the rocks out. It wasn't right at the checkpoint, but a little bit away. And they built a sundial out of rocks. So I don't even know if I would have told you that.
I don't remember that. But I do remember the check. Yeah. I have no idea what it was called. It was pretty deep into the day. So I don't know that we even saw a lot of people.
We'd weeded them out by then, huh?
Yeah, but no, it was fun. I'm actually looking forward to it. This next event. But yeah,
Justin does.
My funny story. I do have a Jimmy Lewis story.
Okay, here we go.
So we raced the Baja 500 in 2006, and it was been there before riding several times, never raced. We're like, hey, we want to go race the 500. And so we signed up in the pro class 22. We had no business being in that class, but we wanted to get in front of everybody. So, because we were in it to finish it. And so I'm pre-running, and I saw you at actually opened the gate for you, and you rode through, and I was like, oh, that must be
What?
Jimmy Lewis, because you were on a BMW.
Okay, I was going to go. Is it BMW or was it XR100?
Yeah, no, you're on a BMW, and you didn't say, hi, thank you, anything. You just rode by, rode through the gate, and I closed it and went on. And
Oh,
and
what
then,
a dick!
yeah, right. So no, it gets better. So then, at like 2 days later,
Hold on. I'm gonna make it better here right now too.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about Mexico, you said Mexico, I said tequila. Okay.
So I'm starting the race, and I don't know if you were right in front of me or right behind me, but we're at, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's dark in Sonata, and you're probably doing interviews and what. No, nobody knows me from the Man on the Moon, and I'm like, hey, introduce myself. I'm trying to talk to you, and and I think we knew you from Dirt Rider maybe at the time,
Yeah.
and you were kind of standoffish, kind of a dick, and and like I said, I think you were.
I'm not going to deny any of this.
No, I think so. Anyway, no, I'll finish. I think the BMW guys were there, or whatever. But you were like, pretty serious. You were hardcore, and so then, like, everybody goes away. The race, they're sending people off, and you actually made a point. You came back and say, "Hey, I apologize. I just get really hyped up on these things," and and you actually apologized to me. And I know you don't remember that, but I do, because you were like,
Okay,
I think you realized
two questions. Were you sure it was me on the bike?
No, 100%.
That would be question number one. Okay.
No, I don't know that was you on the bike at the gate, but it was you or your teammate. But it was definitely you at the start line. You started the race.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I know different times I started, I can't remember when I started and stuff like that, but I can see out pre-running. I'm generally, I would generally be nice, but like come race time, I'm pretty focused and kind of, I have to go this weekend they're doing Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame, and I got inducted into that.
Congrats.
Thanks to thank you very much. So thanks to some friends that just want to see me suffer, because I have to dress up in a tie, and then I have to go and like have people tell me how great I think I am, and I already know, so you don't have to tell me. But it's when the thing I need to do when I'm up there is I need to apologize to all the people. I was a very self-serving, selfish a-hole while I was racing, because when you do this and you want to be at that level, you kind of have to do that. You can't be distracted, and everybody's different. I've been around a lot of different people. I raced against guys like this. I was one of them. I wanted to be one of them at one point. I was not one of them when I got slow, all these things. And when people tell me these stories, I like right away, the first thing is like, oh man, I want to say I'm sorry. But I'm glad I did at the time. I'm glad I like at least. And by that time I was pretty worn out. I was way over my prime. That's why I was riding a BMW in Baja.
Right.
Not a factory Honda, right?
But no, that was, I felt like I had to tell Jimmy Lewis, that was the first time that I'd ever officially met you. And it wasn't great, but you did apologize like on the spot. So no, it was good. It was a fun race. We actually finished, so it was all good.
Did we beat you?
Oh yeah, no, I think I feel like I don't know. You were top 10, and we were 14th out of 15 because somebody's bike obviously broke. We finished the class 22 at a one person, and so we were partying after that. So.
Yeah, that's in reality, when I look back at Baja, specifically score Baja racing, I kind of never really wanted to do it, just because I'd heard how dangerous it was. I wasn't one of my things on my hit list. Kind of got talked into it because if you wanted to, it's sort of when I was an upcoming racer, hey, if you want to be big in the desert and you want to go do this other stuff, maybe this is where you kind of need to go. Luckily, I hooked up with Tim Wharton at the time, Tim Wharton from Baja Bound, and he was probably the best first partner I could ever have because he knew Baja, and I was able to bring a pretty decent bike. And this is back in the KTM days. I was right before KTM went bankrupt, by the way, if we like to throw that in there at the moment.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years before, but we had a really good run on a 125. I think we got beat by the Kawasaki team that year, which is kind of a full factory. Back then there was factory 125s. I was a factory 125 racer for KTM, but, it was a pretty good experience. And I kind of, after I got done with that, I'm like, I really don't like this racing, because the racing was pretty, I don't know, just didn't seem like it was that safe. Like if something happened to you, you pretty much had to have you or your team take care of you. The organization didn't give a crap. And that never changed the whole time I was ever down in Mexico. And when I was racing on the open class bikes on the different, factory level things that I was able to do. And this went from KTM to Honda to BMW. So a lot of different experiences there. I was horrified almost every time I was racing the bike. The pre-running was actually really fun. That's why you went down there. And it wasn't necessarily to pre-run the course. It was all the activities that went around, that circulated around the pre-run, and the fact that you're down there with your friends and your chase truck driver and people that you really like to be around. You got to interact with other racers that were in like a much less stressed environment. Because the courses always, frankly, they sucked.
Nobody would have like when you go down there play riding, you avoid race course like the plague. So it's horrible.
Yeah, and so many people are just drawn to, I want to go ride the course. And I'm like, if you actually rode it, you probably wouldn't want to ride it. But we would go pre-run our sections, and a lot of times, and then we trail ride back to wherever we were going to pick up our thing. Or, you'd get a section dialed, because there were certain sections you'd run over and over and over again. And you really just practice so you can nail your lines, and you knew what was over blind crests, or, if you could jump over certain bumps or and back then there was definitely a lot of shortcutting, which was legal at the time because SCORE said you only had to go to the checkpoints. So there was a lot of, quote, pre-running for better lines. And that was like, well, actually it was fun finding the better lines because you got to go right off the course. So, interesting times. Yeah. It's amazing that how much we've actually kind of run into each other, and Jimmy doesn't pay attention.
It's that, it was that, and King of Motos, and, beyond that, I think I was going to try to ride with you last winter, like on my way to California, and I broke my leg. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. So it's,
no, you gotta come out here. Yeah. Then we have you in studio. It's a lot easier in studio. And I'm going to start doing that more, where people come out and go riding, and then we're going to go for a ride. And like I did with Chuck Sun, I had Chuck Sun in here a few episodes ago, and that was super good times. Cause, I don't know, when you just go ride, I mean, for me, that's what I like doing the most. You just go riding with somebody. The BS that you get to do out there and enjoy it, and then you kind of bring it back into the studio and kind of wrap up your trail ride. It makes it really fun.
Yeah, no, and that's what that's what I live for now. I feel like I'm winding down. I'm 57, but I still, man, I just, like, every weekend I have to be on my bike. So traveling around the country riding with guys like you, that's what I live for these days. I'm gonna do it as long as I can. So
how is the riding where you guys are at?
It's horrible. So just a public service announcement. If you're a moto guy, don't move to Missouri. If you do, move to maybe southern Missouri or Arkansas. That's where we ride. It's anything, we load up, we drive 3 or 4 hours and we go riding. And I go around, I go to, Nevada or Arizona, Colorado, and people are like, yeah, we just, start the bike in our garage and we ride all this epic stuff. And it's like, yeah, I don't have that. So
I'm guilty. I like ride out of the property here, just a mile down the road. I'm on to BLM, and thank God, like the county I live in, it's still the wild, wild west out here. We can ride our dirt bikes down the street as long as you're not breaking the law, and as long as you're going out to ride in the dirt, they're happy with you. And God bless America for that. At least this part.
Yeah.
And it's super, super awesome. Okay, I got so the radiator guards, which, by the way, having used the radiator guards for a long time and having used knockoff versions of your radiator guards, which I want to kind of get into a little bit, using all different other kinds of them. And it's funny because there's certain products like, two-stroke oil and chains and, which exhaust is best. And you can kind of get in all these debates about stuff. But I'm not saying this just because you sponsor the show. I'm saying it because it's true. Yours are some of the strongest. They fit it as long as you're starting with a new radiator guard. And I've said this to people a lot of times, and I've put it in a lot of tests or when we do modifications. If you don't put those on when it's brand new, you're going to spend some time. You're basically what's going to happen is you're going to wish you put it on when it's brand new. Yeah. Because they go right on, they hold it. You're never going to have to worry about radiators. And coming from a guy who has probably, I know how many bikes I have. It's 70, but I probably have 20 different bikes of various years of KTMs, a few Yamahas that have these guards on them. When I was smart and I put it on when it was new, I'm so happy. If I waited, after we did the test or after I lent it to my buddy and he crashed and, put a little ding in the radiator, and then I had to struggle to get him fit back on, first I'm cursing myself because I didn't do it when I should have. Second, I got it on there. That radiator is still good. I have not had to replace a radiator with one of your guards on it ever. And that's kind of saying a lot because I have replaced a lot of radiators over the years.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. And that's that's what we're known for. Yeah. And they're a pretty precise fit. So yeah, we get that call a lot. Hey, this doesn't go on there. I bought a used bike and it doesn't mount up. So there's some tricks to it, but yeah, that's a fact.
You can manipulate your bent radiator back to fit on the guards and make it work. And even when it's like, I've noticed, even when they're not really, you'll be amazed that guys that with knees that can bend their radiators with their knees just by beating on them like that. It doesn't take much to kind of get them. Or you just had a little tip over and the whole radiator sort of parallelograms itself a little bit and it's all off. And having the guard, what's amazing about yours is they take the stock mounting points, and then it just braces the whole thing kind of against the guard and it doesn't have a lot of pieces that like make the radiator make it wider. In other words, bulge or have these, other things that kind of, I've seen ones that add a lot of extra stuff to it. Yeah. And they may protect the radiator, but then you can't get your cooling, it doesn't work with your cooling fan. If you have a large capacity tank, it's a big issue. And it's like anything. There's so many different little parts that kind of combine to make it the right thing.
Yeah. And it's, and it's a balancing act. I mean, we try to make our guards just like super light because it's high weight. So, by the time you take the plastic shroud off and put ours on, you're not adding a lot. I mean, I think we could certainly build braces for them and add more stuff to them and make them crazy strong. But we're trying to meet in the middle. We like to call it high performance.
Do you find like, so with the louvers, when the louvers are designed to kind of slow the airflow down through the radiator, correct?
Well, I think the louvers are designed as protection. I mean, if the louvers were straight, the rocks would have a direct, the
Right.
rocks, pebbles, whatever, would have a direct path to your radio. So, they may be airflow driven, but I think they're more protection. Like I said, they're at an angle, so the rocks are going to hit them.
Stuff.
Rocks,
Yeah,
sticks,
stuff will hit
whatever
it
are
as
gonna.
opposed to going through there. Because there were some and these were. I mean, this is back in the Dirt Rider days. We did a pretty extensive test on cooling systems, for instance, and we did stuff with different impellers and impeller covers. We did stuff with different coolants. We did stuff with different radiator guards. And I remembered that when we did this stuff, and I was using at the time Trail Tech Voyagers that were hooked up, and I usually had two of them on there. One was to the front. One was I may have actually had one. There was three. There was one that was where the water was going into the radiator. One was where the water was going out of the radiator. And I think I actually had one that had that little fin that slid into the radiator. So it measured actually the external radiator temperature. And we're kind of watching what different things, how different things affected it. And I remember there was one radiator guard that was mostly perforated in the front. It was almost, I remember this one, it was like a box that kind of went on it, and it was perforated on the front. And it was horrible for cooling efficiency, especially at high speeds. So we had this one test where we would just take it and we were just going down the road holding it wide open, and you could just watch the temperature increase and increase and increase and increase, and it never cooled down. And you think, man, you're flowing a lot, supposed to be flowing a lot of air through these radiators, and it wasn't the temperature of everything just kept going up and up and up, and it's kind of crazy to think that it was that particular radiator guard was the thing that was causing it.
Yeah, and so what we found, ours, there are a lot, especially with the smaller, like the fins are a lot like a heat sink, just like you'd see on a computer, or an old two-stroke engine, and they will suck the heat out of the radiator, especially with a little bit of airflow, the fan kicking on, it will. It will pull that and cool it. So we've seen that effect. I think what a lot of people forget, and you'll see this on cars and other power sports, if you put something behind the radiator, even a fan, it's affecting your cooling. I mean, a fan is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's blocking airflow until it kicks on.
Right.
So yeah, when you start putting a lot of bracing behind the radiator, it's exactly the same as putting something in front of it. So you gotta have it flow all the way through. So yeah,
and we learned that also with gas tanks too. Certain gas tanks really kind of clogged up that area, and it didn't allow any sort of channeling. And there's a lot of different things that, that's why I said the cooling system on a bike is a system, and if you changed individual parts, it might accomplish one thing, but then like there was always a downstream effect that maybe it didn't work out. And so that's why I was kind of curious about the louvers versus different perf styles in the front and angles, and I know at high speeds the louvers did seem to do something. And they were at the high speed test, they were by far and away the best, was having the louvers compared to anything else. But that'd be like, that'd be sort of like Baja style speeds.
Yeah, I mean, typically at high speeds is not where anybody has an issue. It's the low speed, no airflow, high rev stuff. That's where...
Hey, and you know how I don't scratch my bike up. I don't never bent my front disc rotor and all that stuff like that. And my skid plates usually look like they're just perfect, hardly scratched at all. The other thing is, all the heat that you're generating that's causing your radiators to make that steam stuff is coming from your clutch.
Right.
It's your clutch. It's your clutch use, dude.
Right.
People are like, my bike's always overheating. I go, yeah, and you're always on the clutch. You're constantly slipping that thing.
Yeah.
That's the best way to generate heat inside of a motor is just use the clutch.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a nugget of knowledge for all you people. When your bike's overheating, look in the mirror and ask that guy, how much are you using the clutch?
Right.
I have a trivia question. How do people smoke their clutches in the sand? You don't know? I don't either, because you think about it, your tire's already spinning in the sand most of the time, right?
Right.
Why would you slip your clutch if your tire's already spinning?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I do know the answer because I used to run a riding school, and your bike actually, like, especially at really low speeds, your bike actually accelerates when you pull the clutch in, like when you let off the throttle. Because the tire finally slows down enough to get traction. But generally, the guy that's using the clutch, they pull the clutch in, they feel the traction. What do you think they do? They let it out again, and then it spins again. On, off, on, off, on, off. And and generally when they let the clutch back out again, because the engine revs up, and then it drops back down, and up and down, and it does this thing, that they just start digging themselves a deeper hole. It just happens.
Well, that's the difference between you and me, is like, you have a riding school and know how to do all that stuff, and I'm the epitome of the average rider that, probably could benefit from one of your schools. So I'm probably more of a commonplace rider than you are. I think you're a 10%er.
I spent a lot of time practicing. So the next question, Matthew Bannon has a question here. It says, curious if Bulletproof Designs has embraced new technology during the design, prototype, and manufacturing phase, 3D scanning, 3D printing, etc. And if so, what are the pros and cons? And if it's helped advance the product and the business? Thanks.
Great question. No, 100%. We have I think 6 3D printers. We use SolidWorks for design, and yeah, it makes it so much easier. In the past, we would actually have to, do a design, build fixtures and set the tooling up and build a part, and then put it on the bike. And it didn't work, and then we would start over again. And it would actually take months. And now, I don't even know, like. These are 2 printed Triumph swing arm guards that we did today, and I think I probably got 10 of these that we've just in the last couple of days, and in the past that would literally take weeks or maybe months, and now we can fully design and develop the part as far as fit, not necessarily function, but fit before we ever make a chip. So it's been amazing. The problem is, I think, everybody has that technology, so we're not necessarily leaps and bounds ahead of our competition, but at least we have the leading edge technology to be competitive.
And you think about it, it's like that's just optimizing your business, kind of trying to figure out where this stuff goes and how to make it better. I had friends. I remember my roommate way back when he came home. He's like, this program I found on my computer. It's called SolidWorks, and he was just he was actually a mechanic for Team Green at the time. And he's doing this, and then he starts designing these tools, special tools that he wanted, because he was really into having the really bitchin' tools, and he figured out how to make a tool to adjust the headsets properly, and these other little things. And now he's over at Joe Gibbs Racing, designing tools, because
right.
he was really good at that kind of stuff. So again, everybody's always wondering what tequila we're having tonight on the show. If you were here with me, Bud, you would get to have some tequila. But we're having Don Cayo. We've had Reposado. No, we have Silver, and then also this Anejo, which is really good. It's the good Mexican stuff, the low alcohol volume tequila. Very nice tonight on the show. So cheers. When I get back down to Cabo, I'll be swinging by my favorite tequila shop to pick up a couple more bottles of this fine stuff. I'm getting ready to make plans to go down to do the course for the Nora Mexico 1000 here real soon, which I'm getting excited about because I have some big plans. And while we were sitting there, my boss from the Rebel Rally and also one of the people that handles like the media for Nora put on the thing. They want me to wear I made a joke on the internets that I was going to wear my helmet in the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And they are telling me that I should wear my helmet because I'm always wearing my helmet. I should probably wear the helmet on this show, to be honest with you. It's safe. And Don Cayo, yeah, Emily, I got this I got it down in Cabo. There was a lot of taste testing that took place to come to the conclusion this is a very good. It says right on the thing, premium. So in case you're wondering, let's see what other questions I have for you. So have you made any products that were flops?
Yeah, probably a lot. I guess that, just as a general category, the one that I was excited about was all the mini stuff. You see the dads at the moto track and they're going nuts and they're yelling at their kid and they're throwing money at everything. I was like, I got to make a 65 guard. I got to make a 50 guard, an 85. And we went all in and we made rotor guards and radiator guards and the moto dads, they don't spend money on their kids' bikes.
I think you got to make bling. I think it can't be functional. You have to just make stuff that goes on there and it looks really cool, but it doesn't do anything. And that because I see a lot of the dads that are buying. I've seen this. They buy a lot of useless stuff for their kids' bikes because they're not riding it.
Right.
It's the kid, and the bike has to look like. I think if you had graphics kits, it'd probably go a lot farther than actually a disc guard.
Well, and, it's funny. The small survey that I'm able to do is like the same dads, are buying the bulletproof stuff for their bikes, but their kids not getting it. So that was probably just as a general category. That's the biggest flaw.
They need to send their kids into the rocks.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. So, but yeah, we make a lot of stuff that just doesn't take off, and can't think of anything beyond that right now. So,
right on. Everything else is selling pretty good. Lots of knockoff stuff, and this is another thing I wanted to kind of bring up that we see a lot of, things that are you can. Well, I want to do this. I want to go buy a knockoff Scott steering damper on Alibaba or whichever one. I want to buy some janky flex handlebars. I'm kind of scared to do that. To try to, but there's a lot of knockoff stuff. But if you look at a billet part like the stuff that you guys make and you think, okay, well I can, there's somebody that can just take that 3D scan it and knock it out, correct?
No, that's true. And I mean, I've seen in our biggest competition is every copy of our part that's made in China. I mean, we have a handful of good US competitors, but the majority of our competitors are just copying our part. And that's why where we're good is getting to market faster. I'll make these Triumph and these 25 Sherco guards, which the 25 Sherco is totally different. and I'll get a good 2 or 3 years before I have any competition on it. So I welcome the change. We can react to the market very fast. And and some of the parts are okay. I mean, they're direct copies. They're not bad, if you're not
It's almost like that copying is the most sincere form of flattery.
Yeah, if you're not
But
embarrassed to run it, then buy it and save the $50 and don't get a lifetime warranty and don't get any
yeah,
customer service and pray that it fits
there we go.
and all
This
that
is
stuff.
okay. This is what I want. This is like I want to talk about this because when you're sitting there looking at different companies and there's a lot of stuff, I see it a lot with like tools, like so Motion Pro has some very innovative, incredible tools that they come out with. And sure enough, a year later, you can find that same tool for, I would say, a third of the cost someplace else. And with that stuff, because it's a little more intricate, they don't last. They don't work. They break. It's just like, the materials that they use aren't the same. And when you're looking at a piece of aluminum, especially when it's like anodized and whatever, you may not see this, but have you ever seen where like, okay, yeah, the disc guard is made with something that's not the same material spec?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's some of them I was like, wow, that's pretty good. But then it's like, every third part is totally trash. So I mean, it's the lottery. And you're never going to get your money back. So, you're playing the lottery on that stuff. And like I said,
same thing. Like so if you buy one and if they just, because I've seen it. Here's the thing you're going to run into, because I know this, just so I've talked to people that do it, and I've bought some of this stuff just to see. The best ones are the knockoff hand guards, because I've never seen a hand guard that bends so easily, like the aluminum wraparound hand guards. I had this one CRF 230 that I bought. I bought a Pro Jingjiang Zuki pipe for it. I bought Zoopy Goopy ABZ's handguards for it. I bought some ABCD foot pegs for it. I bought all this stuff for it and put it on. It was amazing junk. And it's one of those things you.
So I think what I see is like our stuff's just, billet, solid block, machine stuff. The Chinese or any Asian market, they can take that part, and because their labor is so cheap, they can sand cast it. So you don't really know. Like you said, the end product kind of looks the same, but it might just be a cast, remachined, or hand finished part. They do. I'd like to spend some time over there. I might learn some stuff. But they do some amazing stuff for really cheap. So it's definitely interesting and intriguing being, in my market, because machining's, my thing. So.
Yeah. And it, like you said, it goes back to they don't have, they're not based here. They don't have customer support or customer service. They didn't design or develop the thing. Like you said, you just made 10 Triumph chain guide parts. Like you're gonna come with the finished one, and all you have to do is take it someplace else and 3D scan it, and then there's your R&D. You scanned it, and so then here's the problem, and this is where people, if you're going and buying this stuff and you're buying that knockoff one, it only takes a few cycles for all of a sudden you're going to eliminate the developer from being in the market anymore.
Right.
So now the person that actually did all the design and develop, the guy that knocks it off, he's still there. He's looking for the next thing to knock off, but he's not going to develop a new one for you, and you don't get it. So, I understand, we're all playing with our pocketbook and everything costs a certain amount. And I think you like the fact that, like, hey, it's like, I've got the real one. I've got the Louis Vuitton here. It's not the fake. Right. The fake one. We just don't have people to go chase after all the patents. And I've talked to companies that, when it's a complete 100% knockoff, and they're like, we can't even afford to chase down this guy to make him stop selling it. And if you do go and do it through one of the marketplaces that's selling it, he pops up as a different guy. He changes his name by another letter, and then you're on to the next thing. And so you wonder how it affects downstream. You got to think about that's what my purchasing power has the ability to control.
Right. Nah, I mean that's all accurate. So it's getting worse, not better. And so all we can do is be on Dirt Bike Test and protect the brand, and the brand is really all we have, and our customer service and our support and reputation. So and you're supporting the people that are, you're supporting the people that are supporting the sport, vice versa, the same thing. Like that's if it wasn't for little companies like you that kind of help us out, I wouldn't be here. I actually do this because I enjoy it. But there's some production costs and other stuff. And my wife every once in a while asks me what I do for a living. Because she supports me in the lifestyle I've become accustomed to, because I sure as hell not a fast racer anymore. Right. So there's a lot of trickle down on this kind of stuff. And and the good thing about me is I had what was the company, the last one that came? Oh, was it Tire? No, Wheels. Oh, I got to talk about Wheels. Hold on. You're going to like this. This is a good thing that I'm going to do for you here. So okay. This is something. This is our product of the week. It's a new segment here on Dirt Bike Test. This is Bulletproof Designs wheel sets of all things. So Bud sent me a set of these probably a year ago ish, and so I've been running them. They are really nice wheel sets. I've put them on probably about 4 or 5 different bikes right now. Got a whole year on them. I tightened the spokes on them once, and by tightened I mean I just retorqued, and they've stayed pretty much about as round as they can be. They've got 2 Baja Peninsula runs on them so far, and overall really good. And the reason I bring this up, and so there's our product of the week. Go to bulletproofdesigns.com and check these things out. They're for KTMs, and I think you also have a setting that will allow it to be for betas as well, correct? Beta as well, yeah, and the older Sherco models. And a Stark
Varg too,
and a Stark's KTM copy. So yeah, and the Triumph, and they fit the Triumph as well.
Cool.
So yeah, and it's interesting you brought that up, and I love that graphic. That was impressive with your low tech ability to throw that up there.
Yeah, that's the show almost started late because I was building that up.
So that wheel set's made in Asia. Let's talk about Asian stuff. So we designed the wheel set, the hubs, the hoops, everything, and GLM, which is giant. They make all the BMW wheels. So we source that to them, and they make that wheel set for us. And it's got the NSK Japanese bearings in it. Basically KTM style bearings of seals. They're direct replacements, but yeah. So that's not built in house or in the U.S. But full disclosure on that. But it is our design and our wheel that we support and warranty in house. So.
Hey, like I said, I've been riding the piss out of those things, and I'm super happy with it. And eventually, when I get the time to sit down in front of the computer or the video editing bay or wherever I'm supposed to sit, where I'm supposed to do work, we'll get that kind of test up there. I've been actually it helped because I'm doing a whole bunch of moose testing. We're doing a lot of different moose testing, and there's a couple new brands of that stuff as well. So it's been good to have a lot of different wheel sets that we can kind of just swap tires and mooses out and do that. And if you know anything about when we moose test, one of my tests is a destruction. I go to destruction on those things. So we try to melt them, or we try to hammer them across things, which is a horrible thing, especially for my wrists.
Right.
We run them on UTV bumps. Like the UTV bumps are probably the worst thing for mooses, just that constant hammering and stuff like that. And I've gotten mooses to pretty much the point of, I haven't had one that's failed yet. And I've got them to the point where I don't want to ride them anymore. They've worn out. And so those wheels have been on 2 sets now that I've gotten to worn out. So the wheels have been getting hammered and they're doing great. So yeah, good job on that.
Yeah, they've been great. They've been a great wheel, a great dual sport or hard enduro wheel. They do it all.
Yeah. And Chris Reel says some of the copy stuff has a very short fuse, and he would know because he's in the product testing business as well with some of his stuff. So, okay. So the next thing we're going to do on this show is I'm going to activate the Rooster Endo segment. Are you familiar with Rooster Endo?
Vaguely. Yeah, I don't think you've done it in a while.
No, it kind of went away because the show got a little inconsistent. We used to be pretty consistent on every Tuesday. We have a new thing that we're working on. In fact, a couple weeks ago, Tech Talk Taco Tuesday went live, and if you were there and you saw it, you got a preview of what we're going to do pretty soon. We haven't really announced exactly what it is, but you've seen it. Yeah, you got to see it.
Yeah. So rebuilt an engine or what top end was something like that.
Well, it was a lot. That particular show was a live beta 300 rebuild. Actually, here's the piston out of it right here, right now. It's funny because I have junk laying around on my desk, but this is the piston we pulled out of that beta 300 that night, and I just did a full quick rebuild. It's interesting because here's one out of a KTM 300. The only difference is the KTM 300 has a little extra. It got a little extra mark in there. I don't know if you can try to show it in the light. It has some extra marks on it. That's because the oil light, the oil injection, the one that says oil low, it failed on my KTM that I had. So it went low on oil and proceeded to do what it did. But anyway, so yeah, we're kind of starting to target this new show, but we're going to get back to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. We are going to have Rooster Endos. So if you are listening to this, hearing this in the future, you can always send it to jimmy@dirtbiketest.com. That's where my email is. You send me your picture of your bike and tell me a little bit about it. What we do is we sit around and we talk about your bike. We talk about the life choices you've made to actually acquire that bike and get to the position you're at with that motorcycle. And then, thanks to Tacomoto, that's tacomoto.co. They are a reseller of a lot of cool different products and stuff. Tacomoto will give me $100 gift certificate that I can give to you so you can, enhance your motorcycle riding, however that works. So today I got like 3 or 4 submissions. I'm not sure exactly how many. I was at the last minute slamming these things together. So I'm going to find the slide that goes to Rooster Endo. Here we go. This is the Rooster Endo segment. And I got to scroll over here on this other screen. You can see that, right, bud?
I can. Yeah. It kind of looks like you at the 2006 Baja 500.
Oh, geez. Really? we had to go there. Was my belly that big? Because it is now.
He's got a house cat in there or something. No, you weren't.
Okay, so this is Dave. This is Dave, and he's on a 2017 BMW R1200 GS Rally with the taller sport suspension. He's at 46,000 miles, and he's on his 3rd clutch. I'm just relaying the information. So I'm looking at this photo here. You can see me kind of giving it a good glance. Every once in a while I go off on these tangents, and I see some things. And this is a really bad backlit photo. So Dave, you need to tell your photographer to open up the exposure a little bit so we can see a little more detail in the photos, and everybody in the world right now is squinting at this photo, trying to see it.
They should have taken it from the other side.
Right. Yeah. That would have helped. And here's the thing. He also mentions, I stole your old helmet right out of your truck when you weren't looking. And no, you can't have it back. It's still good after 35 years, right? The funny thing is I do have a helmet like that. I used to have, I'm not kidding. I used to have a couple of them, but I don't think he really stole it out of the back of my truck. But that's the old Scott Summers Awry with the bolt-on face. Remember those?
Yeah.
That's a really classic helmet there. But that's a pretty impressive maneuver on a BMW GS. And having done a few of those in my time, I tell you, he's got it going there. The body position is incredibly correct. And he's got all of his junk up over the gas tank. His front screen is about ready to decapitate him.
Yeah.
It's almost going to give him a shade. This is where you got to be really careful with this stuff. But pretty ballsy move. Let me see what he says out. Oh, here we go. Here's where it gets good. It says, you guys in your skinny little lightweight cheater bikes need to add another 300 pounds to them to improve the traction and increase their gravitational pull to the ground. So that's what Dave has to say about here. But man, I don't recommend doing endurocross stuff on your BMW GS. I'm pretty sure that, you know how they have a lot of earthquakes in California? When that thing landed, there was probably some Richter scales that reacted afterwards. You have any comments there, bud?
No, I mean that I've had a GS 1200 or two, and I don't know that I would do that. I mean, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't look like that if I did. But no, that's impressive for that bike for sure. So Roost.
So yeah, Roost. Oh, you're going Roost.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Roost also. So Dave is at Irv Seaver BMW. He's a sales guy down there. And when you're talking to a sales guy and they're doing this kind of stuff, they obviously know their shit, for lack of a better word.
Right.
And I think he said that they had, my question is, what did you do to get to your third clutch? I can help with that problem, not using the clutch so much, because he said they set up a little GS trophy style competition during a shop camp out, and that they did about a month ago, and this is the result. So I suspect, since he does work for a BMW dealership, this was just a coy ploy to sell more parts, right?
Yeah. So I have a buddy that's got a GS 1200, and I know he's went through clutches, and it was, and I don't know a lot about him, but it was all in like the mode, he had it in some, mode where it was trying to, do the traction control, and he was trying to work the clutch at the same time, and they're, kind of working against itself. So it was like, I think and a lot of times it's better to just turn that stuff off and ride it. Like
you currently have a KTM 890.
Yeah.
So that has a lot of modes.
Yeah.
I have one of those really simple ones. They're called Yamaha Teneres. And by the way, Yamaha, a big sponsor of the show. So before I just launch into my next product plug, which is exactly that, I bought a Yamaha Tenere after riding a lot of different adventure bikes because it's simple and it's comfortable. Because the difference between, for me, the KTM like 890, 790 platform and the Yamaha Tenere, they're the same. They're kind of the same bike. They're trying to accomplish the same thing. And I went with the Blue Crew because I found it to be a much more comfortable ride. And I don't have any modes to distract me from just going out and riding. So back to the mode thing. So a lot of your modes are generally, your wrist isn't connected to the butterfly valves inside the throttle bodies. It's got a fly-by-wire throttle.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in a mode, especially a traction control mode, and I don't know about the new BMWs because I haven't ridden one, but a lot of times you give it a lot of gas and the wheels start spinning and the mode senses, hey, your wheel's spinning. And so it does something, whether it's spark cut or turn the throttle valve, the butterfly valve the wrong way to eliminate the spinning. And so I've seen this when people are in sand and they have traction control enabled, they get on the gas and they know they want it to go. So they pull in the clutch and or low traction, even mud or whatever, you pull in the clutch so it revs up a little bit more. And then it grabs that little bit of traction and then you let that clutch out again. And then it really bogs down because the butterfly valves aren't doing what you really thought it was going to do. And you get in a fight with the traction control. And so kind of a known issue.
Yeah. So I don't, unless it's just pouring down rain and I'm on pavement, I hate traction control. I love throttle control modes. Because it softens it in the off-road stuff, but the traction control, I'm not a fan at all.
Okay, so Dave is in the chat right now. He says, "Dude, really a big belly and earthquakes? Thanks, pal." No, the big belly wasn't the cause of the earthquakes. The weight of the bike was the cause of the earthquakes.
Right.
And I was saying, when we've got that belly, it's really good to get it over the top of the gas tank. I'm with you there.
The center of gravity.
Actually, and I'm not kidding, David. When I saw that photo and I saw you on that bike, I'm like, and I'm not kidding. It looks like you've lost a lot of weight. Because I remember you look a lot like, I want to say, more aggressive, than in the past. And I usually have a way of stepping on myself, but I did, and now I'm trying to correct it. But I'm honest, you look like leaner than you used to be. And then he says, short clutch life was living in the friction zone, practicing slow speed stuff. Okay, so you're not the first person that I've talked about it's not the first time I've talked about the clutch and heat and stuff in this show. We brought it up earlier. So you were trying to reduce more horsepower than you needed through your clutch. I would recommend using only the throttle to reduce the power, not the clutch. Because the way the clutch works is the clutch is a power amplification device. This is where you're getting the free riding lessons. So the clutch is a power amplification device. So instead of like slipping the clutch to reduce the power, you turn the throttle down so you don't need to reduce the power. But if you're going slower than the gear you're in, so in other words, you're doing slow speed stuff, so you're going slower than first gear, you need to trust the torque of the motorcycle to do that. Don't put and we can even talk about it in a speed sense. Don't turn the throttle so the bike's going to go 20 miles an hour and make it only go 1. Turn the throttle so the bike's only going to go 2 or 3 miles an hour, and then use the clutch to control the speed there. I promise you, especially on that bike with that level of torque, you could reduce the throttle position and get away with it. So hopefully that helps out, because clutches on those bikes are not easy. In fact, I think on that particular bike, I'm going to go back to that picture real quick. It's he said 2000. Yeah. When they had the big giant clutch, now they actually have a smaller clutch pack that I think is actually an oil bathed clutch pack, but they've also tried to get more power out of those bikes, and they're not the kind of the old torque monsters that they used to be. So you do have to, quote, abuse the clutch a little bit more. Anyways, thanks, Dave. Double roost here on Rooster Endo. Are we ready for the next one, bud?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. Let me turn off Dave here and turn on Victor. Look at that. So this is Victor's thing. I'm going to go down. I'm going to scroll over here to Victor's information. Let's see. No, that's a different guy. I thought I put Victor's information here.
So what are you saying that is before you read it? Is that a KDX?
Oh, no. Okay.
KDX?
Yeah, this is correct. You got this. What displacement do you think that is?
200.
Okay, Kawasaki KDX 175, circa 1983. He says this was a winter Southern California timekeeping enduro. Victor says, I don't remember which one. I'm just going to guess and say it's the Chaparrals. But I don't know. That morning it was freezing, and I was wearing nearly all the clothes I brought for the weekend to stay warm. Despite the cold, I could not have been happier. The Cowie was a terrific trail bike that never broke down on a ride or race. In that era, that's a pretty good thing, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. It didn't need to be any faster. I could never ride it to its potential. Simple, lightweight, and reliable. Even today, that still makes for a great experience. That bike has become a yardstick for all the others that are measured. Okay. And our top fan, Victor, says, that's not me. It's a different Victor. He's trying to save himself here. Well, for Victor, our fan Victor, I know that's not him because he'd have a sombrero on the top of his head and there'd be a lot more bean oil, if you know what I mean, coming out of that muffler. So, man, the only thing I'm curious about, like, is what was the landing like off that little bit of a jump?
Yeah, and again, it's dark. I'm sure that's a photo of a photo, but I'm curious about the helmet and the face mask as well. If that's you know.
So it's a Bell Moto 3. I looked closely at this photo. It's a Bell Moto 3. He's wearing Sear goggles. That's SEER, Sear goggles. Do you remember those? Yeah, and he's definitely packed in there with all the gear. What kind of? I'm trying to think. They almost look like Malcolm Smith boots, like early with the, like previous to them having shin plates, like before like the High Points came out with the shin plates on them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, High
really,
Points, but yeah, maybe they're pre that even.
And kids, if you're looking at this right now, I know no kids watch this show, but you're looking at this. That was the epitome of style. I mean, he has the pants with the stripe on them. They might be like high Q or something like that. Maybe denims, not leathers, or maybe they're real leathers, like a set of Bates leathers, and looks like a puffy kind of old. What do they call the enduro jackets back then? They were called the ones that were the waxed cotton.
Oh yeah, the oil, yeah.
Yeah, like lineman. I don't call them. They were like lineman boots, and there was a name for kind of the jacket that people could kind of put in. But that's that guy's on top of it. He's and think about it. That's early single shock days. I mean, it was still twin shockers at the time. That's unitrack suspension on that particular KDX. So that bike has become the yardsticks. All the others are measured by. Oh boy, that's a long reach.
Yeah, for a minute maybe.
Right, and so here's where we have to decide. I mean, everything about this roosts except for that comment.
Right. I mean,
that'd be like
if he had a cig,
that'd be like me saying
mouth, that he would get it.
Oh, okay. If you had, I mean, that'd be like me saying the Cannondale is the bike that all others will be measured by.
Right.
And it's kind of strange that you look at a Cannondale and you go, how did they figure this stuff out 20 years before everybody else?
Right.
So I'm giving him a roost. I'm saying this, Victor, that's a full on roost. I wonder if
hard to disagree with that.
I wonder if Victor's still riding. I wonder what where Victor's at on this whole thing. But I do appreciate that. How'd you do at the Enduro? I want to know how many points did you drop? What was the score? How did it all work out? I got a lot of questions about this, but I do enjoy the photo. Thank you, Victor. Going to our next photo is another Dave. Dave sent me this picture, and I'm shaking in my shoes. Do you know what that is?
Is that the 640?
It's the 625 SXC dual sport bike from 2005. This is Dave Donnelly, a regular visitor of the show. I'm under the impression that he has submitted this before, and the reason I remember this is because, well, first of all, the photo that he sent in looked like he pulled the photo out of his little sleeve where he actually had the picture, and he set it on the table, and I had to crop into it. And at least he got the light right. I mean, he did shoot it where the light was actually on the bike.
Yeah.
But it's so out of focus and blurry from the photo he took of the photo. The actually photo might have been good, but the current photo is bad. But if you know anything about these particular motorcycles, that engine was a notorious big single that vibrated like, well, it usually shook everything off of the thing. He says, let's see. It had a factory high flow head and an FCR carb. What is a factory high flow head? I think, because I know KTM, this bike, I remember when I tested it at the magazine. So KTM has a way of like, they're producing a lot of bikes, and so they had a lot of LC4 motors, and they had a lot of, they were building the KTM Adventures at the time and different things. And then they look and they go, oh, we have a lot of those parts. Let's compile them together and get rid of them for one last year. They did it with the 990 Adventure, for instance, and a couple other bikes. And I remember when this one came out, they also there was like a you got them. They were pretty inexpensive at the time. They kind of sold them, and they really pushed them on the media, and they said, hey, go test this thing. And it actually wasn't a bad bike for the price and everything, but boy, were things changing, because they all of a sudden they had this new, the small RFS motor that was coming out. And you look at this motor that literally physically is twice the size. Dave says, fast as hell on fire roads and desert, not so good for the single track, but I wish I had kept it. No, you don't. Yeah. Endo.
Endo.
I'm going full.
The bike's probably not still running because the parts are extinct. So yeah, Endo.
Yeah, it probably vibrated it off most of the other parts. Completely stock, not customized at all. It looks like he just bought this thing, brought it home, took a picture of it. Usually that's what you do, by the way. If you're buying a brand new bike, bring it home, take a lot of pictures of it. So when you go to sell it, you can use those pictures right. to sell it. And then we go there. So and I think Dave has submitted this one before, so he's going to get a email. Mr. Smithers says, what's the email to send pictures to? That email is jimmy@dirtbiketest.com. And you send your picture and send us a good description or a story about your bike, and we will go ahead and put it on the show, and you're eligible for a Taco Moto gift certificate. That's tacomoto.co that sponsors the show. And I think that the winner of this particular segment, we have one more thing, is also going to get some stuff from Bulletproof. Yeah.
We got some
maybe one of these nice hoodies.
We do. I got some hoodies to give away, and we can give away some rotor guards, some real aluminum ones.
Oh, a front rotor guard if they have a real motorcycle.
Yeah.
If they have to meet it. Okay, let me see what our next thing is here. Where did it go? I've lost my here we go. Roosterendo. There's Roosterendo. We're going to get rid of that bike. And our next one is Roth. And Yamaha, big sponsor of this show. Yamaha supports Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. So going in, if you have a Yamaha, you know that you're 99.9% more chance of winning Roosterendo because we play to our sponsors, right? Let me get the information here. This thing's looking pretty stock too, actually. Come to think of it. I'm giving it a quick glance because he did send some information. I have to get my cursor over here. Here we go. Attached are some pictures of both my 24. Attached are some pictures of both my 24 Yamaha Tenere 700. I use it to. Why they're both? It's only one bike, I think. I use it to commute about 50 miles to and from work during the week, and I take it trail riding on the weekends. It's mostly stock with the exception of a Seat Concepts tall seat and an ATLer rack. I'm having a hard time pronouncing that right now. The exception of a Seat Concept seat. Okay, see that a little bit. Don't worry, I know how much of a rack connoisseur you are, so I've included detailed pictures of that as well. Okay, let's find the detailed pictures of the rack. Here we go. There's a detailed picture of the rack. I'm going to take the camera off. I'm not sure why that's important, but you did just show me that you have a really worn out rear tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could use it. You could use a tire there. The Tenere is a great bike. Of course, it's a Yamaha. I put 11,000 miles on it this year and had 0 issues. Completely normal. This winter, it's getting in new tires, good, and suspension revalve respring. I really enjoy your show, and I'm glad that Rooster Endo is back. I'm just because of what he just said there. I think I'm going to go. Let's see. You got Yamaha. That's a Roost. You've got a Seat Concept seat. That's a Roost. And worn out tires, which means you use it. Your photo is actually not that bad. I always kind of go off in these tangents on the photos. He exposed it properly so that you've got some contrast. I see that, and that looks like a nice afternoon ride on some kind of shitty rocky roads, but I would like to be out there. That gives me, it's not like my bike's in my garage or in my front yard. It's out there doing what it's supposed to be done. I'm going full Roost there.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. It's a Yamaha, so full Roost. I had a T7 for a while. And it's a neat bike. Needs suspension's a little soft stock, but it's a Yamaha and probably won't ever break, unlike that 625. So yeah, that's a forever motorcycle. Roost.
Going through. So Roth, I'll tell you what. A Chirby's makes a really bitchin' skid plate for that thing, which is not a bad upgrade. The tires, you're gonna love it when you go to some, especially if you're riding it on dirt, like you look like the picture right there. Going to a little bit better tire will really help. I'm actually going to be testing some nice Pirellis coming up here on my Tenere. The suspension. I have a whole vlog on all the stuff I've done to my Tenere, and I currently have some TourTech stuff on there that I'm really happy with. Not the cheapest, but really, really good. So you can learn a couple things there. I'm giving this one a Roost for sure as well. And now the one that gives me the most enjoyment is the question. Is it David on his BMW GS? Not that makes me want to ride, but not that bike in that condition. We have Victor on the KDX, which it endoed. We endoed. Did we endo him for his comment, or we roosted him? We gave him a roost.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. And then we have Roth. I'm trying to make these things work here. There we go. And Roth's bike, of course, Donnelly's out. The 625 is out. So I'm kind of torn between these these few. What do you think? Where are you at?
I gotta go with the BMW. I mean, it just has a lot going on. That's just the bike and the obstacle and the action and the beard and everything. I'm going with the BMW.
I have to agree. I think it's a good action shot. It's taking the thing out of the realm. I called him fat.
Yeah,
so
he's putting himself out there. There's a ton to make fun of on that one. So I mean, you just gotta give it to him on that one.
That's a good shot. So I want to know if he won whatever contest they were having there. If David won at that particular event, but pretty nice. Let me scroll down here. I'm going to look at my thing.
So I just noticed somebody in the background too. So I don't know what's going on there. So
they're probably scoring on dabs, or it's somebody to run in.
Yeah.
It's somebody that's going to run over and pick up all the thing.
It looks like one of the BMW riding school courses.
Yeah, so Matthew Bannon says, Holy Roosterendo is way different when you're watching it live. Listening to the pod, trying to visualize just doesn't do it justice. Now add tequila into the equation. Yeah, we could do that, or we did already do that. So, hey, Dave, you are the winner of the Takamoto Rooster Endo segment. Thanks for submitting that. We're gonna expect more rad BMW action photos from now on. Because of this, he says, thanks guys, all good. Yes, I won the competition. I got 106 points out of 110. So how would you get more points? By higher wheelie, like more loft on that front wheel? Or is it how much parts you break when you land on that sucker?
Right. I wish we could hear the noise as it landed.
Yeah. Any Bulletproof Designs parts for the BMW 1200 GS?
None. No, negative.
not on the catalog. Okay.
No, they're
awesome.
We have a pretty long list, but it's not on it so far.
Okay, and then one other thing that Bud did inform me of is he has a discount code for a couple of people that if you email me. So I gave my email out, so that means you have to listen to the whole show. If you are one of the first people that emails me and you tell me what bike you have, if you have a bike and Bulletproof Designs has parts for it, I will send you out a contact for a discount code. So that's why you want to listen to the whole show here on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. I'd like to thank Bud for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Learned a lot tonight. It's almost the Bulletproof Design show, yeah?
No, yeah, it was great. I don't do a lot of these, so I appreciate you having me on. I usually just turn people down. But you talked me into it, and you got the wall hanger wooden front disc guard. So looking forward to you testing that thing out. And
we'll do some video or some Instagram posts or something on this.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it coming on. And like I said, we run a pretty loose program around here. It's not too scripted or too formatted, but having a good time. Like I said, super stoked on all the products I've used in the past. If you're interested, it's Bulletproof Racing.
Bulletproofdesigns.com.
Bulletproof Design. I so many different like racings and right. .cos and .everything. Bulletproofdesigns.com. They make stuff specifically like protective stuff is their thing, but you guys have a lot of stuff in your store.
Well, yeah, we do. We sell, you said a lot of, foot pegs is a big seller for us and levers. But yeah, it's mostly protection parts for sure. We build some, we use our printers, we print some tools. I know you don't have the newer KTM, but our printed radiator cap removal tool is one of our biggest selling items.
Well, especially when you put a big tank on one of those KTMs and you try to get that. Why do we have to improve something that seemed to be fine, like radiator caps?
Right.
No, that could be a kind of a cool thing as well. You guys, I see you have like you guys are selling a pipe. I saw it. What, OTZ or something?
I'm glad you brought that up. So Oxa in Spain, they make a 2-stroke pipe, and they want to go big into the U.S. market, and they chose Bulletproof as one of just a handful of distributors for the U.S. market. And it's a great pipe. It's it's kind of a hand built. It's made to compete with FMF. They're the market slayer for 2-stroke pipes, but it's a great option. And FMF is kind of doing some weird things especially with KTM, dealer only sales and that kind of thing. So, Oxa is just a great option for all the 2-stroke brands.
Awesome. Yeah. So I took time to go around and look around the website. If you have time and you're looking for this stuff, go look at their website. They have lots of cool things. And I know KTM's doing some funny things with different things, because I know even plastic, you want to get plastic different things that harder to get now. Everything he seems to have to go through the hard part stuff. So
right.
Anyhow, okay, bud. Well, good. Thanks for joining us on the show. I'm sure we'll keep in touch in the future with our different projects. I'm gonna give this guy a full test, and we'll see how it works out. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for joining in and watching the show. Let's see. Mr. Smither says he'll be checking out those wheels. It looks like good quality stuff. And then David responds that you got scored based on dabs and drops. So with 106 out of 110, hopefully it was only a small dab and not a big drop. So with that, hopefully we'll get on the Tech Talk I can't even say the name of the show anymore. Tech Talk Taco Tuesday in the very near future. Be on the lookout for our next show. There might be something popping up live here in the next couple of days. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get notified when we go live. And with that, we will see you out on the trail. So cheers, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Jimmy.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully, we'll see you out in the trail.